Welcome to the European Association for Higher Education Advancement's YouTube and podcast channel. We're going deep today into student health and how it connects with study stress.
Okay.
So we're looking at an article called Student Health vs. Study Stress, how to manage from the EAHEA itself to get some good insights.
Yeah. You know what's really interesting about this article is that it highlights how education is changing. We're moving towards the student-centered learning model, which is great for deeper understanding, but it may also be contributing to stress.
Yeah, it's interesting how that can happen, right? It's like a paradox.
Yeah.
The article mentions flipped learning. Can you explain what that is and how it might be impacting students?
Yeah, so flipped learning basically flips the traditional classroom model on its head.
Okay.
So instead of lectures during class time, students learn the basic concepts on their own through videos or online materials. And then class time is used for interactive activities, discussions, problem solving, with the teacher acting more as a facilitator than a lecturer.
So it's like they're getting the information outside of class, and then they come to class to actually engage with it.
Exactly.
But that does mean more responsibility on the students, right?
Right, and that's exactly the point the article is making.
Okay.
While flipped learning has been shown to have positive impacts on student engagement and understanding, it also requires a lot more self-direction and time management from students. And some studies have shown that this can lead to increased stress and anxiety, especially for students who haven't developed those skills yet.
It's like they're kind of thrown into the deep end in a way, right?
Yeah, in a way.
So how can students deal with this new landscape and all this pressure?
Well, luckily, the article has some practical strategies.
Oh, good.
And one of the most powerful yet overlooked tools is journaling.
Oh, I love journaling.
Yeah.
I think it's so helpful.
Yeah.
But the article goes beyond just saying write down your feelings.
Yeah.
It actually talks about how journaling can help with academics, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not just about venting or letting go of emotions. Studies have shown that journaling, especially techniques like reflective writing or gratitude journaling, can actually improve memory, enhance critical thinking, and even boost creativity.
Wow. So it's like this hidden tool for students.
Yeah.
Maybe work through their emotions, manage stress, and maybe even improve their academic skills all at the same time.
Exactly. It's a win-win.
I love it.
And teachers are starting to catch on to this. They're encouraging journaling both for student well-being and for academic development.
That's great. Okay, so journaling is a must-have for students. What other strategies does the article recommend?
Well, it emphasizes something we all know, but often struggle with the connection between diet and mental health.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. It's like late-night studying with pizza and energy drinks isn't the best recipe for success.
Right. The article specifically warns against too much junk food and the negative effects of skipping breakfast. It really emphasizes the importance of 3 balanced meals a day to provide sustained energy and support cognitive function.
Yeah, it's easy to forget about breakfast when you're rushing to class.
Yeah.
But, you know, the article points out that it can really impact your ability to focus and learn.
Exactly. Skipping breakfast can lead to those mid-morning energy crashes, difficulty concentrating during lectures, and even make you more irritable. It's like trying to run a car with no gas.
Yeah, you just can't perform your best.
Right.
Makes you rethink that extra 10 minutes of sleep.
It does.
Speaking of which, the article also talks about the myth of the all-nighter.
Yeah, the all-nighter, we've all been there. But the article makes it clear that it's not a good strategy.
You think you're being so productive, cramming all night.
Yeah.
But sleep deprivation is really bad for your brain.
It really is. The article highlights how important those 7 to 8 hours of sleep are for your brain to function well, to consolidate memories, and even to regulate emotions.
So an all-nighter may seem like a good idea in the moment, but it can actually hurt your learning in the long run. And while we're on the topic of energy, the article also stresses the importance of staying hydrated, especially when studying.
Yeah, staying hydrated is so simple, but so important.
And easy to forget when you're focused on your studies.
Definitely.
It's like our brains need a constant flow of water to work, right?
Yes.
But we often reach for coffee or energy drinks instead.
And while those can give you a temporary boost, they can also dehydrate you, make you anxious, and make it harder to sleep, which all makes stress worse and hurts your academic performance.
Yeah.
The article recommends having a water bottle with you all the time and sipping on it throughout the day.
Such a small change can make such a big difference, right?
It really can.
It's amazing.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting how the article talks about physical activity being important for students' mental health.
Oh, yeah.
It's easy to forget about that when you're so focused on studying.
It's true. You're sitting for hours in class at the library, then back home studying.
Exactly. And our bodies aren't really made for that kind of lifestyle.
Right.
The article points out that even a little bit of exercise can make a big difference, both physically and mentally. You know, exercise releases endorphins, those feel-good chemicals that act as natural stress relievers and mood boosters.
It's like hitting the reset button for your brain.
It is.
And I bet it helps you focus better, too.
Absolutely. There are studies that show that regular exercise can improve cognitive function, memory, and attention span.
Wow. So it's like working out your brain, too.
Exactly.
The article even suggests that schools should have programs or set aside time for physical activity.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
I agree. It would help students make their physical and mental health a priority without feeling like they're losing study time.
Right.
And it could create a more supportive learning environment overall.
It's about recognizing that our well-being has many sides to it.
Yeah.
You can't just separate physical health, mental health, and academics. They're all connected.
Exactly. And speaking of connections, this article also talks about how important it is to have a positive morning routine.
Ooh, I love a good morning routine.
Me too.
It really sets the tone for the whole day.
It does. What kind of things does the article suggest?
Well, it recommends things like having a healthy breakfast, getting some exercise in,
Okay.
maybe reading a bit, or even just taking a mindful walk outside. The key is to start your day intentionally and create a sense of purpose that carries you through.
I can see how that would be really helpful. Starting your day feeling grounded and energized would set you up for success.
Exactly, both academically and personally.
Definitely. And you know, all of these strategies, from journaling and healthy eating to exercise and morning rituals, they all relate back to the idea of personal agency.
You mean like students taking control of their own well-being?
Exactly. The article emphasizes that students aren't just passively experiencing stress.
Well,
They have the power to actively choose things that nurture their mental and physical health.
that's kind of empowering, isn't it?
It is.
It's like even when things are tough, you still have some control.
Absolutely. And that feeling of control can be really freeing and motivating.
It's like changing your mindset from, I have to do all these things, to, I'm choosing to do these things because they're good for me and help me reach my goals.
Exactly. And that shift in perspective can make a huge difference.
So we've talked about a lot today, from flipped learning and journaling to food, water, sleep, exercise, and even morning routines. But there's one big thing we haven't really discussed yet.
I think I know what you're talking about. The digital age and how it affects students.
You got it. We can't talk about student well-being without talking about technology and how much it's a part of their lives.
Right. It's a double-edged sword.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Technology can be a great tool for learning, connecting with people, and finding information.
Yeah,
But it can also be a huge source of distraction, stress, and even anxiety.
definitely. All those notifications, the pressure to always be online, the fear of missing out,
Yeah.
can really affect students' mental health.
And the article doesn't ignore these challenges. It makes us think about how we can adapt these stress management strategies for a generation that's constantly surrounded by technology.
That's a great point. So how do we handle this digital world in a way that helps students instead of hurting them?
Well, I think it starts with awareness.
Okay.
Students need to be aware of how they're using technology and how it might be affecting their mental health. Setting boundaries, like having tech-free time or places, can be really helpful.
That makes sense. And maybe we can even use technology to help us.
Yeah.
There are tons of apps and tools out there designed to promote mindfulness, focus, and productivity.
Exactly. We can use technology to support healthy habits instead of letting it control our lives.
Right. Like fitness trackers can encourage people to be more active. Meditation apps can help with relaxation and concentration.
Yeah.
And online study groups can create a sense of community.
Yeah.
It's all about using technology intentionally and mindfully.
It's about finding that balance, embracing the good parts of technology while minimizing the bad parts.
Precisely. And I think this conversation highlights something important that the article talks about.
What's that?
The importance of seeing how different parts of our lives are connected.
How do you mean?
Well, the article doesn't just give these stress management tips as separate things.
Mm-hmm.
It emphasizes how they all work together to create a whole approach to well-being.
So it's not just about checking things off a list. It's about understanding how these different things, our physical health, mental health, social connections, and even our relationship with technology all affect each other.
Exactly. And when we start to see those connections, we can make better choices that support our overall well-being.
I love that perspective. It's like our well-being is this complex and interconnected system, not just a bunch of separate parts.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And that's especially important for students who are dealing with a lot of pressure and a world that's constantly changing.
Absolutely. It reminds us that taking care of ourselves is a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
It's about making choices every day that align with our values and help us thrive.
Well said. And the article's closing message really hits on that.
What does it say?
It encourages students to be assertive and make healthy choices that feel right for them. It acknowledges that there's no one-size-fits-all solution,
Okay.
and that each student needs to figure out what works best for their own situation.
That's so empowering.
Hmm.
It's about taking charge of your own well-being and trusting your gut.
Exactly. And it reminds us that we all have the power to make choices that support our health and happiness.
Yeah, it really is about more than just grades and achievements.
Right.
It's about developing as a whole person,
Yeah.
intellectually, emotionally, physically, and socially.
Exactly. And creating environments that support that kind of development.
Right.
And that kind of brings us back to what you're saying earlier about student-centered learning and mental health.
Yeah, about whether schools should be providing more resources and support for students to deal with the pressure.
I think it's absolutely essential if we're asking students to take on more responsibility for their learning. We also need to give them the tools and support they need to manage the stress that comes with that.
So giving them a map and a compass, but then also making sure they know how to use them.
Exactly. And that support can come in different ways.
Okay.
Like providing mental health counseling, offering workshops on stress management and resilience, maybe incorporating mindfulness into the curriculum, or even just creating spaces where students feel comfortable talking about their challenges.
It's about making schools feel like places where people care about each other,
Yeah,
where mental health is just as important as grades.
absolutely. And that needs to be a conversation we're having as a society, too.
Mm-hmm.
We need to stop looking down on people who struggle with mental health and create environments where they feel supported and empowered to prioritize their well-being.
It's not a weakness. It's
Yeah.
part of being human.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's something we should all be paying attention to in every part of our lives.
Okay, so we've explored a lot in this deep dive. The changing educational landscape, the challenges and opportunities it brings for student well-being, and all these practical strategies for navigating this new world.
And we talked about how the digital age fits into all of this, too.
Yes. I hope our listeners feel like they have some valuable insights now and some things they can actually do to manage their stress and well-being.
I hope so, too.
And just a reminder that the European Association for Higher Education Advancement is here to help students, educators, and institutions on this journey. We have lots of resources on our website, and we encourage you to connect with us on social media and be part of our community.
We're all in this together, and by working together, we can create learning environments that are both academically excellent and supportive of student well-being.
Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
And to everyone listening, thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this episode of The Deep Dive. Please don't forget to follow the European Association for Higher Education Advancement on YouTube and social media.